can go ahead and get started. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Those that are coming in, we appreciate you being here. We understand there's been some traffic issues. So we will officially call this meeting to order out of respect for everyone's time. And Mr. Imbriani, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Ms. Hodge, if you'd call the roll, please.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our nice little room. Everybody's going to be cozy today. If you could punch a button on your little device there so that we can take roll. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that, and I will call out the ones that are missing to see if we're just waiting on a little time to get it done. Okay, so we're going to have time to push a button on our little device. All right. If I call your name, please shout out loud so we know that you're here. Either get your device from the other room or please use your device and let's get you totally on board. Ambassador, Channel, Dr. Tacey Duncan, Garden Grove, Gold Coast, Golden, Maramonte, Miramonte, National, Pacific, Soledad, Val Vista, and Victory. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodge. Mr. Simmons, do we have any guests that need to be introduced?
Thank you, Mr. President. No, as of this moment, we have no guests.
If we would please recognize the executive committee. So if the executive committee would please stand. And we'll start in the back.
David Park, Small Schools Area Rep.
Matt Meda, was AD Rep.
Mary Jane Hibbert, Orange County Rep. Eric, the head of Liberty High School, AXA Rep.
Kyle Lyles, Citrusville Area Rep.
Alexis Brill, at-large Rep.
Dimitri Howard, Coast Area Rep.
We have a guest from the state office, Mr. Brian Seymour. Where are you, sir? Thank you for being here. I can never remember. Associate Executive Director? That works? King Farouk, whatever it is they want to call you up there. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. His son just finished his senior year of eligibility at a school down in Memphis that it was great to follow him and watch his career as he went through school. So thank you, Mr. Seymour, for being here. We get to the point where we need to adopt the agenda. So you've all got it with you. You've all had a chance to see it. We would entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Motion to accept.
Move to approve. Thank you very much, sir. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Are there any discussions regarding the request to accept the agenda? Hearing none, we'll call for the question. Ms. Hodge?
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion carries 8200.
Thank you very much. We are now at approval of the minutes for the meeting of September 28th, 2023 of this body. We would accept a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion, Big A.
We have a motion to approve for the Big Eight. Second. Thank you very much. Any discussion regarding the acceptance of those minutes from September 23? Hearing none, we'll call the question.
Voting is open. Seconds. Voting is closed. Motion carries 8200.
Thank you, Ms. Hodge. For the public comment section, public hearing, we have a guest with us today, Mr. Matthew Leva from the LA Clippers. Matthew, you want to come up and spend 3 minutes with us?
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Leva and I'm with the LA Clippers and we'll be speaking on behalf of Intuit Dome. This summer, as many of you know, the LA Clippers will open their brand new arena, Intuit Dome, which will be located in Inglewood. When we open our new arena, we will be displaying high school jerseys from various high schools in California in order to showcase the rich history of high school basketball in this state. We would like to ensure that all of your high schools who are present here today, as well as the high schools in your leagues, are able to be a part of this great initiative. Many of you have received a flyer that is at your seats. If you have not received one, we have 2 people here who can bring those to you, as well as there are QR codes to websites at your table, and you can also visit our website, clippers.com/highschooljersey. On our website, you will see a 2-minute form that we kindly ask you to fill out. This form will allow the LA Clippers and Intuit Dome to gather background information about your high school, as well as to ensure that your legal authorized representative from your high school gives us the authorization to display your jerseys in our new home. We encourage you to please fill out this form in a timely manner, even if you are planning to have a brand new jersey displayed in our new arena or are waiting for your season to end, as we want to ensure that we can send you either a prepaid FedEx shipping label or we can schedule a time to pick up your jersey. Please encourage all the people in your league to participate this. Thank you again to the Southern section for allowing us this platform to talk, and we look forward to seeing all of your jerseys displayed in our new home. Thank you.
So do you have room for 600 jerseys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you very much. We're at the non-action item portion. We have 8 non-action items from the State Federated Council. President Rodas.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Good morning, everyone. The first item, non-action item, is the proposed 24-25 CIF state budget. Pardon me. The proposed budget for CIF State is projecting an income of $7.55 million and projected expenses of $7.40 million. Most championships are budgeted for increase in expenses based upon the 3-year trends, as well as rising costs of championship operations. We are also anticipating increased income revenue in a number of sports based upon their 3-year trends from those championship events. We are expecting increased expenses for insurance premiums, some step and column increases for qualified office staff, and some increased contributions to benefits and PERS for the employees. We also anticipate increased income from marketing partnerships, broadcast rights, and some championship merchandise, again, based on the 3-year trends. As Mitch puts it, some nice bedtime reading is here in the spreadsheets that are attached. Does anyone have questions regarding the state proposed budget? Okay. Moving right along. The next item is the Federated Council President-elect and Executive Committee nominations for the state. The nominating committee, which is members create candidates for both President-elect at the state and the Executive Committee. Nominating committee is several members from the Executive Committee as well as some other appointed members. They met first in November to determine the candidates. It will go for first read this Friday at the state meeting. They will also be taking nominations from the floor at that meeting. The following candidates have been nominated by the nominating committee for President-elect of State CIF Executive Committee. Paul Hart-Rodas from the Southern section and Alton Nelson from the North Coast section. In addition, we have nominees for the 3 seats on the CIF Executive Committee at the state. Melissa Brewer from the Sac Joaquin section, Simon Canales from the San Diego section, Jesse Hardwick from the Central section, Paula Hart-Rodas from the Southern section, Robert Poyer from Los Angeles City section, Steve Sell from Central Coast section, and Erica Tejeda from AXA. We typically go with support for any of our Southern section nominees, and we request to go uninstructed on all other non-Southern section candidates. Are there any questions about the nominees or our plans? Okay, excellent, thank you. Our next item is the Heat Illness Protocol, Bylaw 503K. The council is proposing amendments to the bylaw which would require schools to postpone or cancel practices and/or competitions due to extreme heat. The changes to the Heat Illness Protocol are due in part to new requirements by California state law, AB 1653. In terms of what this may cost schools or districts may incur a cost if they choose to purchase a wet bulb globe temperature device or if they are in need of additional body temperature cooling mechanisms. The CIF heat illness prevention and heat acclimatization policies provide guidance for dealing with extreme heat conditions as well as acclimatization processes to prevent heat-related illnesses. Specifically, you have in the notes, there's 2 really important pieces that I want to make sure that you are all reviewing and that you're sharing with your folks in your sections or your areas that you represent. The first piece is with the heat procedures for extreme heat. The wet bulb globe temperature, please try to say that 5 times fast, is a measure of the heat stress in direct sunlight, which takes into account temperature, humidity, wind speed, sun angle, and cloud cover. This is a big key, is this is different than just the temperature you look at on your phone. The whole nation is divided into separate regions. There are 3 separate regions, and in most states, they just represent one region, but we're special in California, and we actually have all 3 regions covered in the state, and you can see that here in the map. The way this works is that there is a set point on this very fancy colored chart that tells you, depending on which category you're in and what that WBGT reading is, what the actions are for your area and what you need to do. So it's important that we understand that this is not just the regular temperature. This will dictate where you would have to make changes to things such as extra breaks with certain periods of time required during those breaks, and then all the way up to having no outdoor contests whatsoever, or no workouts. Questions on that part before I move on?
Is there going to be any stipulations for aquatics? Because all that's going to be outdoors, but it's in the water. If you remember back in COVID, they were telling us to pull the ball out of the water, to clean it, to then throw it back in for someone else to utilize it. So, I mean, just want to make sure.
Current rule states all fall outdoor sports,
Including aquatics.
climatization.
Thanks, Mike. The other piece of this, again, is the fall outdoor sports acclimatization policy. It's a 4-step plan for heat acclimatization in outdoor high school sports. This is the fall outdoor sports. The first step is a gradual increase in activity, hydration, education, modified practice schedule, and monitoring athletes' health. The preseason practice must begin with a 5-day period of acclimatization. I swear I can say that. For all fall outdoor student athletes, again, fall outdoor. This includes any of those who arrive at the preseason of practice. What this also does is it has a special statute for football where the first 3 days are helmets only and the next 2 days are helmets and shoulder pads. Essentially, it's adding 5 more days to summer practice for football. Questions on that portion? Yes?
Maybe not that portion, but just real quick, could you clarify on the section of orange and red? It said, it lists restrictions for football practices, but then says contests are allowed. Just some clarity on what are you allowed to do or not allowed to do as far as in those different indexes for football or any sports.
So what it's doing is it's making sure that if there's a contest that's there, it doesn't say you have to cancel the contest. Okay, you guys just got to be monitoring it. If it's practice though, you have to make adjustments. Okay? If it gets into the black, no, there's no outdoor activity whatsoever. Okay.
It was discussed, in some cases it's waiting till later on if you have a contest, waiting. Nobody really wants to start a football game at 9 o'clock, but if that's when it's cool enough to play, or playing it Saturday morning, whatever, those kinds of things.
So you can't potentially have a football contest, but not necessarily. You have to modify practice or something like that, but it's just practice. Okay. Thank you.
Question on preseason. Football obviously has to start their practice season before competition season, but for all the other fall sports, what would be considered the acclimation period starting? Is that the start of the official CIF season? Is that when cross country starts training in June?
You will now see start dates for the fall sports, so that those dates can be used as the acclimatization period. We haven't had to do that for the last 15 years or so. Because of this new rule, we will have to actually define a start date so that acclimatization period can take place.
All right, thank you.
Great questions, everyone. Anyone else? Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Pardon me. All right. Next one is the Air Quality Index Protocol. The proposed addition to bylaw, which would require schools to postpone or cancel practices and/or competitions due to unhealthy air quality level of 151 or higher. Just for clarity, it has been always a recommendation that at 151 or higher, we augment what we're doing. Now it will become a requirement. If schools wish to purchase an air quality index measurement device for their campus, that is where you might incur some costs. It is not a requirement. The standard for measuring air quality in your area will be going to airnow.gov. Of course, if you have an air quality measurement device on your campus, it is going to be more accurate, but it is not a requirement of this. Additionally, to the bylaw, the state has adding other resources and best practices for AQI adding to their website so that there are resources for athletic directors and athletic trainers to utilize when dealing with the with the air quality index going up. questions on air quality index? Mike, yes, please do, Mike.
I actually want to make a comment back to the heat index, the wet bulb glow thermometer. There was a NFHS initiative to get 500 of the wet bulb glow temperature reading units to school sites, and those were moved out to many California schools here. It is a strong recommendation that each site purchase a wet bulb glow thermometer unit and a kit that would include a tripod, a wind vane, and so on. There is an option to have an online reading, but it is not nearly as specific or as accurate for your particular area as an on-site unit would be. Those units are in the neighborhood of about $500. The Sports Medicine Advisory Committee strongly recommends that each site have it, and it's actually out on their practice sites and measuring, because that's the way you're going to get the most accurate readings for that. Not the same for the air quality. There are schools that have invested in that, but that's a totally different ballgame, and I'm not sure what the cost of that is. But when it comes to the heat index, there is a strong recommendation that each school site acquire a wet bulb glow thermometer unit for them.
He's using his coaching voice. He's all right.
Thank you. Can I need to repeat any of that?
Probably.
Again, it's a strong recommendation that the wet bulb glow thermometer unit is purchased by each site for the heat index pieces of that. And so, and just with the air quality portion of it again, airnow.gov is the website that is the recommended website to use. There are other websites that are available. However, airnow.gov has been looked at and is the one that seems to be the most accurate in general in areas around Southern California.
Thank you. All right. Any?
Quick question. Wet bulb thermometer cost, how does it elevate all the way to 500?
The $500 unit?
Is that the typical cost for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood of 500 with all the accoutrement that goes into that.
In the back? Yeah. Yes.
Is there additional cost throughout, like each year, is there calibration costs, additional costs beyond the $500 that the site would continue to incur?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Yes. So in case you didn't hear the question, would there be additional costs incurred yearly for calibration? Not that we're aware of. Brian, do you know?
No, but I will say that the state office is working right now with a company that is going to be able to provide any school that wants to in California to get these probably under $200 for compensate and use that gap. So many of you already have a unit. We handed it 2 years ago. When it came out to be free, and then we're working with a supplier to use that office.
Thank you, Brian. Question.
Is there a time period prior to a contest that a reading is supposed to be made so that you don't allow a visiting school to just travel that?
It's a great question, David. I don't know, Mike.
I don't know if there's nothing specific in our bylaws that says you have to have a reading prior to. It's just a matter of making a determination of when, if you're having a contest that day, if you recognize that it's going to be a potential situation, you might want to just get some readings early, see where you're at, and then communicate as far as do you postpone, do we need to cancel, those type of things. But there's no specific time frames established for that reading.
Great question, David. Thank you. Anyone else? Moving on to the next one. Emergency action plans and AED protocols. We're discussing proposed amendments to the bylaw, which would require schools to review and rehearse their emergency action plans due to new requirements by California State Law AB 245. Other amendments related to the requirements of the EAP and the location of AEDs are included. In terms of fiscal impact, this may incur costs at schools or districts because you may need to purchase additional AEDs to meet the device location requirements. There are 3 big pieces. The first is that there is amended language to clarify that EAPs must be developed for each athletic venue on your campus, and that the school should hold regular practices and drills each season, at least once per season, for those EAPs. Additionally, there are added statutes that include both specific information that should be included in your EAP, including the need for specific documentation actions after an emergency. Previously, we said you needed to have an EAP, but we did not have language that spelled out exactly what pieces and what information should be in there. That is now spelled out for you. And lastly, it adds language that denotes the placement of AEDs across your campus and requires that they be accessible within 3 minutes of a cardiac arrest. This is why schools may need to purchase additional AEDs, because you cannot get to that AED within 3 minutes. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, that means 3 minutes to get there and back.
That's correct.
So you may need to have more AEDs available across your campus depending on the size and the number that you already have. Questions on this piece?
Just real quick, expand, when it comes to practices and facilities, if we have golf off campus or cross country, those kind of things take place off campus, is this only specifically for our campuses, or do we need to take into account when it takes place off campus?
The focus should be your campus. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. Golf courses and those types of things, and not for us to really consider. That's mainly outfitting your own individual campus and your typical practice sites in that fashion.
Thank you.
Yeah, it should be for each of your venues. Yes?
Now, would a portable one take into account that 3 minutes, or do you want to have it in a location?
Portable one would take that into account. The question is are you consistently having that portable one where it needs to be?
Right. That's a great question. And also, if you have multiple things going on at one time, if we're talking about practices, games, it's winter, right? You've got a basketball game, you've got a soccer game, you might have a wrestling match going on, or at least practice. So having them within that area is the big piece of that. Other questions on AEDs and EAPs? Moving on, traditional competitive cheer state championships. State is proposing replacing the current regional invitational with the implementation of state competitive cheer championships beginning in the 24-25 school year. The championship right now is proposed as a 2-day event, but that is depending upon the registration numbers, to be held in late January. We do not currently have a state championship at the traditional competitive cheer sport, but this would bring that ability to the athletes of cheer. It would happen again in the end of January. It's proposed for the 24-25 season to happen on February 1st. Registration will be very similar to the current registration process. Teams would register for the division that they wish to compete. In order to participate in the state, you would have to participate in your section championship if your section offers one. It is projected that this event will create a small amount of revenue. It's approximated that it will cost about $29,500 to hold the event, but that they would be able to realize about $40,000 worth of revenue from the event. Questions on traditional competitive cheer?
Would it switch off south and north every year?
No. I don't think we've discussed that. Brian, do you know?
The question was, will it be switched out between north and south each year? Is there a determination where the sites will be run?
Great. Thank you, Sean. In case you didn't hear that, it would pass first, and then they would determine where it would go. Thank you. Other questions about cheer state championships? All right. Moving on. Boys volleyball state championships. Again, the staff is proposing implementing CIF boys volleyball championships, again, for the 24-25 school year. And we do not currently have a championship in boys volleyball. This would bring the top teams from each region together for a large-scale one-day event held the weekend after regional championships. The proposed dates They coincide with the next available weekend after the current regional championships. So for 2025, it would be Saturday, May 31st. The 4 divisions of competition between champions from Northern and Southern regionals would occur with 18 brackets, and there it spells out how many from each section are there. Teams must compete and qualify through their regional championship in order to qualify for the state championship. This event is projected to run at a slight deficit, as it is expected to incur costs of about $23,000 to run, but only earn about $15,000 in revenues. This event, although at a deficit, can be absorbed by the CIF state budget. Again, there should be no conflict with spring championships state testing. This is the same weekend that we hold many of our other spring state championships, so in terms of loss of instructional time, it would be no different than any of our other state championships in the spring sports. Questions on boys volleyball?
Just a quick question, I don't know. Impact as kids transition to a high-level club, with that decision that needs to deal with the soccer and things where kids travel to showcases. Do we know anything about that?
As a former club parent, the traditional club qualifying and those last end of the year tournaments typically happen a week or so after that. And then we roll into Junior Olympics, which happens end of June through early July. Other questions? I think the only thing we run into there is those schools that are ending, right? But that's a problem we have for all of our spring sports that have championships at that time. Anyone else? Boys volleyball state championship. You guys are going to get tired of seeing me. I got one more. One more. The last one, the multi-school new and renewal application deadline. So currently, we are discussing to establish a final application deadline for new and renewal multi-school applications. It would require that all late applications be received by the state office by the final Friday in September to be considered for the current school year. Currently, the practice is it's due May 31st the previous year, whether it's a renewal or a new application, and that by September 1st, if they don't have it, you have to pay a $200 fee as a late fee, but then it just continues to roll throughout the year. So what this does is establishes a deadline. It's a hard deadline. If they don't have it by that final Friday, you are not going to renew or have a new application be considered for the current school year. Questions on multi-school? All right, friends, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. Southern section, non-action items. First non-action is Southern section 667 in regards to the 2024-25 budget. The Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Carty.
Good morning. So we got the 2024-2025 proposed budget. First item is non-action for Southern section. And rather than bore you with the details of the individual numbers, just want to give you some broad strokes of what is being proposed for 24-25. First thing I wanted to just share is how we create the budget. So, or how I create the budget. What I look at is looking at the expenses and what are our fixed expenses, what are our anticipated expenses for events, and everything that we do in the Southern section. The next thing we do is we look at all the revenue projections of what we have, contracts with our marketing partnerships, broadcast rights, and then assuming we have similar ticket trends that we have in ticket sales for all of our sports, we look at what that would be given the current cost of the ticket. We also look at special events, what are our trends there, and then when all is said and done, comparing what we have with what we have for expense projections and what we have for income projections based on what we have as a current model, we look at what that final number is going to be. hopefully if that number is somewhere close to zero or somewhere where we are at a break even, which what we try and accomplish in a nonprofit situation, then it's pretty much business as usual. But in preparing the budget for this year, we have found that it's time that we need to make some changes as far as what we're doing with respect to revenue. And you'll see in the proposal, and I'll let you guys read through that in the notes that are included in the packet, but basically we're proposing to increase our sport fees from $75 per sport to $100. We're looking to increase the general ticket price for preliminary rounds, football, basketball, volleyball, which is our revenue sports, or what we call the revenue sports. The general ticket from $10 to $12, the student ticket from $5 to $6. I think it's important to note that we don't make these decisions lightly because, to point out, we have not raised the general ticket price since 2014, and we have not raised the student ticket price since 2007. So we try and kick that can down the road as far as we possibly can until we feel like it's somewhere where we really need to have that revenue. The other thing that we're also going to be adding on is the golf entry fee for those participating in our golf championships from $40 to $50, and that's primarily based on the fact that golf courses are just costing us a tremendous amount more money. And then finally, the introduction of a tennis entry fee. We've found that tennis has become about a $22,000 loser on every given year. It's just time that that sport needs to kind of bring itself back up. So our proposal initially is going to be $20 for entry fee for singles and $40 entry fee for doubles. So that's the meat and potatoes of what's in the budget proposal for 24-25.
It came up at our rep meeting that there was some, I don't know if frustration is the right word, but with the collection of the fees for golf and tennis, that it's done through Bill's van and we can't cut a school check and send.
Yeah. We're changing that entire process for golf entry fees. When we start, for those of you that know, we haven't collected golf fees last year or this year because of we've allowed our California grant to pick up that slack to make it free to all golf entries. But next year, we're looking into a process right now that we're going to be using for the Ojai tennis entries that will hopefully make that process. And that'll be kind of a nice trial, and we'll use that similar process for golf and for tennis entries next year.
Appreciate it.
Again, this is first read proposal. Obviously, we don't vote on it till next time, but I welcome any questions, emails, concerns, conversations, whatever you have, feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Carty. The second non-action item we have on the agenda is Section 668, the Executive Committee nominations. In your packets, you've got a copy of the individuals that have been nominated by the nominating committee. The nominating committee spent 2 full meetings deciding and identifying possible candidates throughout the section to represent us in a number of different areas. The commissioner did a phenomenal job of getting to the people that we identified, talking with them, and helping them understand what the commitment is to this organization and to be involved in it. So there you have the ballot for president-elect, which is a 6-year term. Dr. Alexis Briel, Director of Student Services in the Corona-Norco Unified School District. I know Dr. Briel is here. There she is, up front, right up front. Kai Lyles, Assistant Principal and Athletic Director, Desert Hot Springs, right here. For Activities Director, Shannon May from Santa Barbara High School. That was close. Same neighborhood. Carrie Strange from Temescal Canyon. For Boys AD Rep, Todd Heil from Santa Barbara High School. Is Todd here today? And Matt Maida from San G. Matt's over here. From the Orange County Rep and that vote will only be taken by member schools from Orange County. Two candidates are Mr. Sean Bolton from Newport Harbor, the principal there, and Mary Jane Hibbard, the principal at Garden Grove High School. Mary Jane is over here. Any questions about the nominations and the ballot? If you have any questions, their information is in your packet. You can do the research at your leisure. Next non-action item is 669, the wrestling playoff divisions. We are fortunate to have the Honorable and decorated Alan Clinton from Servite High School. It will talk to us a little bit about the ins and outs of this particular proposal.
Good morning. This proposal that I'm bringing forth was voted on unanimously by both the Boys and the Girls Wrestling Advisory Committee. The purpose is to improve competitive equity during the dual meet playoffs and move from leagues to individual schools for placement. The committee feels that the Masters qualifiers is the best way to determine this, and we would move from 4 years to 2 years to allow the most current data to take place in deciding this. So that is our proposal. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Clinton? Mr. Scheer? We good? All right. Moving on then. As far as action items, we have none from the state, which brings us to Southern Section action items to be voted on. The first is Southern Section 656, starting date for cross-country. I will tell you that the executive committee at our last meeting voted 17-0-0 in approval of this particular bylaw change. It has to do with bringing cross-country start date into compliance or in the rest of the state. We're two weeks behind. It would move the start date to August 19, which will be a 2-week pushback, but it would not affect the end date. We would end on exactly the same date as normal. Any questions regarding the change to the bylaw 1904, start date for cross-country? Any questions? We'll call for a motion to approve.
Motion, Big A.
Motion from Big 8 to approve. A second? Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, we'll call the question, please.
Voting is open.
It is there. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why it's that one. But yeah, there's you see ambassador right after the other. So it is registered. Thank you.
Voting is closed. Motion carries 87-0-0.
Thank you. The second action item is a proposed revision of bylaws 3519.1, 3519.7, and 3520.2. That's set in section item 657. It is the competitive equity bylaw change. Is Tim Walsh here today? Tim, you want to come up? Tim's the athletic director at Ocean View He made a presentation at our last meeting. Yeah, come on up.
I'll invite Eric Henninger.
You'll have to turn that on.
And invite Eric Henninger from Garden Grove as well. Same thing we discussed last time, a couple years ago. We went to the model that we use for football now, where the playoff divisions are based upon the current results from the season. It's been great for football. We feel like that teams who qualify now have the opportunity to compete for a championship with teams that are comparable. We feel like the same model can be followed in all team sports. With this proposal, schools will be evaluated and placed into divisions based entirely on the current regular season results. Just as we currently do in football, the final rankings and placements will be determined and released at the end of the regular season. And each of the divisions will follow the final rankings, regardless of league affiliation or league finish. And we feel like this change will benefit our entire section and be based upon competitive equity.
Just a quick, I showed you some data at the last meeting about how the playoffs look, and I looked back on the fall sports, and it's kind of the same story. So it wasn't a fluke thing last year or anything like that. I really believe that we'll be going to a much more competitive model with this. So thank you very much.
Guys, don't move. Stay right there. So is everybody, we have to make sure that everybody understands that rankings, the final rankings and ranking will be regardless of your leagues. When it gets ready for the pairings, for the brackets, you may end up playing a league team in the first round simply based on where you fall in that particular division. One will play 32, two will play 31, three will play 30. It's just the way it'll fall, and all those other rules that we've had for all those years are going to go away. So it'll be just straight competitive equity. The fall sports that will use it, football already is in that mode. It'll be team girls golf, girls tennis, volleyball, and boys water polo. The winner will be boys and girls basketball, boys and girls soccer, and girls water polo. The spring sports will be baseball, team beach volleyball, team golf for boys, lacrosse, boys and girls, softball, boys tennis, and boys volleyball. Any questions about the sports that will be using? Yes, sir.
Will the seeded teams, the top seeds, be at home?
Excuse me?
Will the top seeds get a home in the first round?
Higher seeded team.
Higher seed will play at home.
In the first round, that's higher seed will be home, and after that, it goes based upon who had the most recent army.
And you'll notice just one quick caveat: consequences for not submitting your scores is that you will be ineligible for the participation in the playoffs. Make sure that your scores are complete, make sure your scores are in, or unfortunately you may not be involved. So with that being said, we'll entertain a motion to support the revision of bylaw 35. Sir, Mr. Maida.
Great. Girls flag football will fall in suit then?
Yes, sir. Good question.
Will different sports have different formulas, or will there be a common formula used throughout?
Go ahead.
Different sports are using different means of which different formulas at this point in time. We're finding there's no one size fits all for every sport. So there will be something different, at least initially, moving forward. Again, there's going to be tweaks each year as we move forward. But at this point in time, different sports are going to be using different ways.
Thank you.
I know the basketball has a format, volleyball's got one, baseball, softball's all got, depending on what their needs are. I would entertain a motion to approve the revision of bylaws 3519.1, 3519.7, and 3520.2. Excuse me? We have a motion to approve. Thank you. We have a second. Second from the back. Appreciate it very much. Any discussion regarding this revised bylaw? Hearing none, we'll call the question, please.
Voting is open.
think so. Yeah. She doesn't tell us.
Voting
Very
is
BCC.
closed. Motion carries 79-80.
Thank you very much. I will tell you this, that the fact that this just passed puts us in a very extraordinary position. There are not many people around the country that understand what we're doing or how we're doing it. And there are a lot of people around the country watching what we're doing and trying to figure out if it'll work for them or not. So thank you for your foresight. Thank you for your willingness to do what's best for our playoff system. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Financial report. We have already done that, so we're okay with the financial report. Mr. Embriani, treasurers.
Okay. Let me blow this up. The CIF Annual Audit 22-23, the Harrington Group concluded audit fieldwork, preparing final financial statements, audit report, and tax return. Proposal for audit acceptance at the next executive committee meeting after the audit committee meeting. Okay, final profit and loss for 2022, 2023. Revenue, $8,149,804. Expense, $7,688,331, with a net income of $461,473. That's our net income. Note, last entry to be made is the pension expense, line item which Harrington and Mitch Carty are wrapping up in the next couple weeks. Okay, investment reserves. Fiscal gain of $155,392 in 22-23, and our current balance at the December 31st, 2023, $3,669,260. Gain of $122,000, or $122,232 in fiscal 23-24 thus far. So strong November and December. All right. This is our grant. We had $2.7 million to spend in 22-23 and 23-24. 1.50 spent on membership fees waived. $119,640 spent on golf entry that we waived. $111,400 spent on the athletic administrative summit fees waived, which most of us attended. $80,000 spent on the Athletic Activities Director Association donations, and $50,000 spent on the new CIF Southern Section History Project. $24,000 spent on Wrestling Coaches Association fees waived. $30,000 spent on track officials fees waived. So far, and what we have left to spend is $734,960, and I guarantee we'll be able to spend it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Embriani. My report's very short. I've only got a couple items to report out on. One is I want to thank Christine Pally for the administration of the cheer championships last Saturday. It was 12 hours of cheer, non-stop. Tylenol and Excedrin, there was a rush on the stock. It was unbelievable. you owe it to yourself to go. I admire the principal at Mater Dei. He timed it absolutely perfectly. They perform late in the day. He rolls in about 5-6 minutes before they perform. They perform. He goes over and congratulations, and is out the door and gone. It was a genius move. The support, administrators that were there, and how they came in, supported their teams was fantastic. And Ms. Pally and her staff did a remarkable job. Second, I don't know if any of you pay attention or not, the California School for the Deaf. I've had the chance to go watch their football playoff championship games the last 3 years, I guess. Have you seen the television commercial where the deaf school, where the kid puts the helmet on and that little eye thing and he can read the plays? That kid with the helmet on that's reading the play, he was their quarterback a year ago. He's now the starting quarterback at a deaf school, deaf university in Washington, D.C. But the championship game, he was there. He came back and supported his team. And it's a remarkable story, just an incredibly classy gentleman that's part of what it is that we do, and to see how those kids advance and go on. The last thing, the other night I go to a basketball game, a varsity game. Got there, big crowd, big rivalry game. Schools are right down the street from each other. Varsity game gets ready to start. The announcer says, "Welcome to blah, blah, blah high school. We'd like to ask you to please stand. Those of you who are able, remove your hats. We will sing the national anthem." Let me repeat that. We will sing the national anthem. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. The entire gym sung the national anthem just like that and killed it. I mean, I had chills. Kids sang, cheerleaders sang, parents sang. Nobody balked. Entire gym sang. And then they gave themselves a great round of applause at the end. It was great. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. Just when you think you've seen it all, there you go. It was a pretty cool thing. It's a great thing for education-based athletics, and I think we're doing it the right way. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice to stand up here finally in front of our council. As the commissioner of the Southern Section, I was unable to last time around because of an illness that it took me out of commission for a little bit. So it's great to be here with you all. And thank you for your patience as far as the little bit tighter quarters here. They were doing some construction in the other room, so we needed to make things work over here. And actually, it's worked out quite well. So thank you for that. I just have a few things to share with you as far as some events coming up and a little bit of report outs. First off, the Southern Section has established a Unified Sports Advisory Committee. Unified Sports is something that is growing potentially at an exponential rate as we move down the next few years. We've had a championship in the last few years in track and field, but we have not really had a committee to really kind of get together and talk about and define what a unified sport athlete is. How do you qualify to be a unified sport athlete? What are the qualifications of being a partner? There's a lot of things that have been kind of left in the air for schools to interpret. And so we're trying to have some consistent messaging when it comes to that. Also defining the philosophy of what unified sports is going to be in the Southern Section, what we're trying to make sure that all of our schools are holding to when they're entering and working through the unified sports programs. We're going to continue to offer track and field as a championship, but we're going to be introducing some swim events this year for the first time. And so if you haven't seen any information about that, look forward to it coming out in the spring. If you have a unified sports program, start getting those things ready because we're really, really excited about that. Area placement is going to start next fall. So the re-leaguing process is going to become something in earnest. On April 17th, I'm going to be inviting the leaders in the given areas responsible for their re-leaguing to a re-leaguing roundtable. What we're looking to do is, and I've asked the area representatives to provide me with the bylaws and procedures for how the different areas do their re-leaguing. You may or may not know this, but the CIF Southern Section does not dictate how re-leaguing goes.
We provide resources, we provide support, we provide guidelines, but each area has their own means by which they do their releaguing processes. And I felt it would behoove everybody if we got every area into the room, those responsible for those releague ideas and thoughts in those given areas. Let's talk about what are some common practices that are working well. Let's talk about what some frustrations are that might be there. Everybody's going to share all of the bylaws and the research there. Get together and talk about those things, and then the goal is for those representatives to go back to their areas, think through what their current bylaws and their processes are, see if they can pick up some best practices, and just evolve into something that can continue to work for those given areas. So we'll be getting information out. There won't be a broad stroke invitation. We're going to be specifically targeting those areas and the leaders in the areas that really are responsible for the releaguing to get them to that first meeting, and then we'll see about how we cascade that information out from there. So look forward to that. Our first officials fees committee meeting has been scheduled for May 22nd. It will be the initiation of the process. We've invited the presidents of all the umbrella organizations to come to this first meeting. It'll be a discussion about process. It'll be the initial contact as far as how things are concerned. We're getting a little earlier start this year than we have in the past. And we're also going to make this process a little bit more transparent than it's been in the past. So that initial meeting is going to take place on May 22nd. And then we're going to have, in October, a couple meetings in there, and we're going to, with the committee themselves, and talk about processes and ideas about how we address these types of things. The areas will then submit their proposals in October. The officials associations will submit their proposals, and they will be evaluated. In the past, basically, they've been able to just submit their proposal, and then the recommendation goes straight to the council, and regardless of anything, that's kind of what happens. We're going to give an opportunity to let the area or the officials groups know what the recommendations are before it goes to council. So we'll give them an opportunity, if they wish, to rebut what the decisions are and provide some more feedback. Again, making the process more transparent and more interactive for all that are going to be involved. And then we will go through the process of adopting those fees, starting at the winter meeting, this particular meeting next year as a first read, with approval in the spring for starting with the 2025 through 2028 3-year cycle. So that is coming up here starting in May. Championship preview, we've got some events coming up, obviously. The winter sports is coming to a close. We've got basketball going to be at a few different venues. It's a little bit different than we've done in the past. CBU is going to be hosting the Open Boys and Girls event on the Friday. APU will be hosting Division I on the Friday. And then Colony and Edison will be hosting all the rest of the championship games this year. We have been in communication with a larger venue, an arena, if you will. I won't get into too many specifics, but we're working on a 3-year contract. For us to kind of find these different places year after year, it gets a little bit challenging. So we're trying to work with some of our venues and have some more consistency, if you will, of knowing where we're going to be at over a period of time. So we're close to finalizing that, and it will be great if we can announce that sometime very soon. Soccer Open Division will be at Veterans Stadium again in Long Beach for that. Girls Water Polo is going to be at Mount Sac. It's a new venue for us. Boys was hosted there. It's a great spot if you haven't had a chance to get out there. Strongly recommend it. It's going to be one of the most impressive aquatics sites that you will attend. And we're looking forward to host swim championships there as well. So stay tuned for that. And then again, Wrestling Masters is going to be at Palm Springs. It was mentioned the cheer championships held at Martin Luther King High School on the 20th. It was a great event. We had upwards of 145 schools all go through there over the course of a day. We gave out, there was 11 divisions throughout that, gave out 11 championship and 11 runner-up plaques. And it was just a really, really exciting day. So I want to commend everybody that was involved with that, those of you that have programs there. It's great. Hopefully next year we can get into the stunt arena, have enough schools participating in stunt so we can have a spring championship in that as well. Finally, Friends of Golf. We're going to be, this Saturday, going to be handing out golf shoes as donations from the Friends of Golf. 1,200 pairs of shoes will be are being donated. This is not a cattle call. It's not like if you show up, you get them.
We've already communicated with the schools. They've already identified how many pairs they want, the sizes they're looking for, and the times that they're going to come pick up. But between 9 and 1 tomorrow, or on, not tomorrow, but on Saturday, we'll be handing out a variety of different donations for that. And Friends of Golf has been around since 1979. They've been partners with the Southern Section and I think the state for years. They've given out over $10 million of gear over the course of that time to our students. So if you haven't had an opportunity to take advantage of that, pay attention to the notices that come out in the fall and secure whatever donations that your school might need. Because they're not shy of them for sure. And if other sections don't pick them up, they ask the Southern Section, hey, we've got this many more, can you take more? And I don't think we've turned them down yet. So that is my report for today. Thank you again for being here. It's great to see everybody, and we look forward to seeing you down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, juror number 1. I was out of the office for about 3 weeks on jury duty out in Riverside County. It was called between court breaks. It was quite an adventure. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for your attendance, what you do for your schools. Is there anything that anybody needs to say as far as getting something off their chest? I was kidding. I was just seeing if you all paid attention. At this point, then, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor? See you down the road. Be safe, y'all.